I made about $350 today, finished with a discipline score of 7.0, and walked away before I could give any of it back. So overall, it was another good day. But the market also rewarded me for doing a couple things I absolutely should not have done, and that's part of today that I need to pay attention to. I traded two names only today, Tesla and a new one for me, Rocket Lab USA, which reported earnings yesterday after the bell. While the company did beat estimates, the stock dropped 10% anyway, which always fascinates me. I've always loved watching the extreme volatility that comes after events like earnings releases, and last night I watched Rocket Lab whip back and forth between $71 and $75 a share after dropping from its closing price of 80. Then this morning during pre-market, I noticed the stock had recovered some, trading in the $75 to $77 range, and immediately knew I'd be trading it once my waiting period was over. Full disclosure, while yesterday and today have both been good days, I haven't done a particularly good job following through on my experiment of waiting even farther into the morning, as I discovered from my Hawaii trip. I haven't abandoned the strategy and still think there's something there based on what I experienced last week. But both yesterday and today, the excitement of it all pulled me right back in immediately after my 30-minute wait time had expired. At 9:05 this morning, with Rocket Lab trading around $78 a share, I went short. In all, I made about $100 trading Rocket Lab and another $250 trading Tesla, bringing today's gains to around $350. But the bigger story is that I lost points with how that money was made. Today's discipline score came in at a 7.0. I lost all 10 points for position sizing as Rocket Labs trades well below $100 a share, which convinced me to ignore my 50 share maximum rule. At times, I was holding as many as 200 shares, which is a clear violation of the rule. Even worse, I lost another 10 points for stop loss control because I removed them while a few of my Rocket Lab trades were open. My reasoning at the time was that Rocket Lab had been whipping back and forth all night and into this morning and simply put didn't want to get stopped out during one of those swings. Basically, I had convinced myself the stock would eventually reverse, and it did. But that's also the problem. The fact that it worked out doesn't make the decision any better, it actually makes it worse. As I've mentioned before, the dangerous part is the market once again rewarded me for breaking my rules, which only feeds into my doing it again in the future. I also gave myself fives for averaging down in emotional control. My excitement about the volatility pulled me into making some decisions that were not consistent with the trader I'm so desperately trying to become. Thankfully, today worked out, but again, it very easily could have gone the other way. On the brighter side, I did earn perfect tens in several other categories, and the one I'm probably most happy with is the walkaway discipline category. Today was going well, and a big part of me wanted to keep trading. But as noon was approaching, I recognized that I had a good profit, my discipline had already started slipping in a few areas, and continuing to trade was probably creating more risk than opportunity. So I closed everything and walked away shortly after 11:30 this morning. Honestly, there's a good chance that decision saved me from giving back at least some of today's gains, so I am happy about that. Normally, I'd be pretty happy with a 7.0, especially compared with some of the much lower scores I've put up during this project. But after yesterday's 9.2, today's 7.0 doesn't feel nearly as satisfying. I also realize that's something I'm going to have to get used to. It's not realistic to expect myself to score a 9.2 every day. The goal is not perfection. The goal is to make the higher discipline scores increasingly normal while continuing to identify and eliminate the behaviors that keep pulling those scores down. Today's 7.0 brings my monthly average to 7.83 and my overall journey average to 7.08, which I am still pleased with, but there's still a lot of work to do. While I didn't record Friday's process, technically speaking, it was a good day. Add Friday to yesterday and today, and I've now put 3 good trading days together in a row, and that's where tomorrow gets interesting. I've talked before about what usually happens after a few good days are strung together. My confidence goes up, and then that confidence turns into overconfidence. The rules start feeling a little less important, position sizes start creeping up, and eventually I make one of those rookie mistakes that wipes out days or weeks of progress. And if I'm being fair with myself, I saw a little bit of that behavior today. 200 shares are traded instead of 50. Stops are being removed. I'm averaging down too often. I'm convincing myself that I knew where a stock was eventually going to go. Today I got away with it and have to remember tomorrow I might not. That's why tomorrow still scares me a little bit, but it's also why I'm excited about it. Tomorrow isn't about making it 4 profitable days in a row. It's about making it 4 disciplined days in a row. and we'll see if I can do it. Thank you as always for following along, and I'll see you tomorrow after the close.